If you're around my age, you're likely familiar with names like Napster, Kazaa, or LimeWire. These file-sharing programs ignited a legal firestorm and countless debates about piracy and copyright protections, but they also paved the way for music streaming platforms and revenue-sharing models we know today. So, to give us an insight into the next transformative moment in music history, this time brought about by artificial intelligence, we are joined by Bill Dafflon in San Francisco, the CEO and co-founder of Wondera AI, and Anand Roy, founder and CEO of Wubble AI in Singapore. So, Anand, do you think this technology, artificial intelligence, will be as transformative for the industry, for the revenue sharing models, for business models in general, like file sharing technology was in the late 90s and early 2000s?
Wow, that's a very layered question, Thomas. I would say I hope so, really, and I think this is where attribution will become absolutely vital. What we are seeing with AI right now is, especially in the music industry, there are two aspects. One is the music creation side, which is obviously something that Bill and I are entirely focused on. But a big part of that entire process is also attribution in terms of ensuring that the work that artists are doing, they're sort of fairly compensated for. I think what was a problem before the advent of AI was that entire process was quite opaque, layered in paperwork and saddled with at least in my view, a lot of unnecessary complexity. AI promises to sort of simplify all of that, where you can create very clear lines of attribution and sort of credit systems which allow for real-time payments and real-time attribution to musicians for the work that they are generating and the work that they're sort of contributing to the ecosystem. This will require a complete reimagining of how rights management is done right now and a sort of real streamlining of the sort of pipes, as it were. But the technology is there now. It is entirely possible to sort of set up these systems. We are running beta versions of these systems within our organization already, in terms of when we are working with artists for the music that we are training Wubble on. We would like to see those systems go to scale in a way that artists get paid fairly, promptly, and transparently.
If I can just ask you to maybe add to that and explain on the technology side, how would that, like attribution, the sharing of, you said the tokens, and that then can be cashed out, so to speak. How would that work if I want to generate a song, let's say?
Yeah, so very broadly, you're looking at a blockchain-based ledger system where the music that an artist is creating is tagged on those digital ledgers, and as that track moves through the music ecosystem, and it doesn't just have to be AI systems. If the song is being used for a sync project on a commercial or on a TV show or on a film, that digital ledger automatically sets up alert systems, sets up trigger systems, which alert all of the stakeholders involved that this song is now being used for this system or this use case, and then the system automatically triggers payments based on a pre-agreed to rate card or a payment system. So that sort of blockchain based digital a ledger system which tracks exploitation, tracks usage, and tracks creation can ensure that all of the parties involved in the creation of the song are paid in real time on a system which is entirely transparent. Think of it in many ways as a sort of hybrid version of the stock market as we know it and cryptocurrencies. We know that these technologies have already been sort of fine tuned. We know that these technologies are safe. It is now just about deploying it in a way that benefits the most important sort of entity in this ecosystem, and that's the artist, the musician, and the songwriter.
That is a great sentiment. I really do hope that they stay at the center of the conversation. Bill, what is your take on the potential of AI to kind of disrupt the business models and revenue sharing models the same way that file sharing apps like Napster did way back when?
I think the industry is moving into the right direction. Several things are going to happen next weeks or months. The first steps, I think, the major music rights groups are turning around, really seriously looking at licensing music for AI training purposes. But the first step is we need to make sure the foundation models that generates and manipulates music are properly trained and licensed. And with that, we will have a new business model. We call it rev share per inference. Right? So like rev share per stream. So we'll have tiny micro revenue payments to data contributors when there are inferences. So I think that's the first step. And the second step is maybe to allow AI to create derivative versions of existing popular music so that users can create their own version to personalize popular music to their own taste. And while music groups still retain a lot of the rights, such as lyrics and composition rights. And I think the third step, probably the most important one, is that to change copyright law so that legally we're recognizing AI-assisted authorship as copyrightable. Obviously, it probably will have certain criteria. You won't be able to copyright just a random indie rock song, and as well as to recognize AI artists as copyrightable entities. I think that will enable either AI artist modeled after a human artist or an AI artist that is an autonomous or semi-autonomous entity. I think that will enable, really open up to think about the music world. You have artists, you have popular tracks, you have people, you have music people listen to in the background, and for all three of them to fit into AI and rights recognition systems. Until Anand talked about blockchain as a potential solution to that problem. There has been many attempts in the past, last cycle, this cycle, on the issues. I think it will still take some time, really, to move. To be honest, I think it would be hard to move the existing system into this whole new world that we imagine to be perfect, because there's so much legacy system in the existing system. Whereas in a AI system, a new AI generated. Imagine if most popular music in the future are going to be AI-assisted generations or generated by AI. It'll be much easier to create such blockchain-based systems that is fully integrated with new tracks without legacy issues or legacy systems. So I think that is where this new on-chain assets or on-chain distribution, on-chain recognition will work with AI.
I'm glad you mentioned copyrights and copyright laws, because that was going to be my next topic. You've already given us a pretty comprehensive answer on what might be required. Anand, is there any jurisdiction around the world, is there any country that is actually getting close to starting to introduce changes into copyright laws the way that would be necessary or beneficial for the technology? Or is this still blue sky thinking and no one's actually getting closer to putting that in practice?
No, I think right now the need of the hour is the enforcement of artist protections, Thomas, and that is because there is a lack of clarity around that. A lot of AI platforms are right now, quote unquote, getting away with ripping off artists' work, unfairly training on artists' work, and this is not just in the music field, by the way. This is across the creative industries, without sort of paying the artists or the creators fairly. And what has been rather rather interesting for me is just how long it is taking the global governance mechanism to sort of lock that down. You know, in its very basic form, copyright law is very clear. If a business is benefiting commercially from the work of an artist, of a musician, of a filmmaker, of a painter, those those artists should be compensated fairly. But using a very narrow and frankly flimsy sort of loophole, a lot of these AI organizations have just trained on vast bodies of work without giving any consideration or compensation to the work that the models have sort of trained on. This should have been shut down a lot earlier, and the fact that it is still being debated in some of the key geographies and key territories in this entire AI versus copyright debate, I find quite interesting. So in my mind, the first step is to really get clarity in terms of what the copyright protections are when it comes to AI training and AI fine tuning. Once that baseline is established, then then the uh, then the industry and the legal governance systems can then start to move to the next step, which is imagining and refining and laying down the foundations of what the 2.0 version of copyright looks like. The longer we wait for these sort of current infractions to become mainstream, the the louder the message that is going to the tech industry broadly becomes that it's okay to sort of operate in a non-ethical manner, become big enough and then just pay the fine that might accrue at some point. And that is of course really harmful to not just the creative ecosystem the way it is today, but the evolution of tech in the future in general.
Well, we're almost out of time, but before we go, let's do a lightning round of what are you excited for in the AI for music space in the coming, let's say, a year or two. Let's keep the perspective rather short. Bill, what are you looking out for?
I'm really excited about consumer AI-powered consumer music platform. Because that's where the big game is, right? Hundreds of millions of people, even hundreds of millions of people starting to create music, personalizing music to their own taste. A new platform to consume, also to create, to interact, to share, to work with artists, and not just human artists, but AI-powered artists. I think that is something that we're very, very excited. And the ability to integrate the latest AI technologies into one platform, such as not just music generation, but also video generation, image generation, right? As well as computer visions, so that the AI not only creates music for you, explains music to you, teaches you music, integrates the track you played with your instrument into the AI track you have just generated. Really, a co-creator, a teacher, a collaborator, and an artist. I think that is something that I'm very excited about. There won't be much, the line will blur between a consumption platform, a creation tool, and the label. I think it's all going to be the same.
Very interesting future indeed. Anand, what do you think?
I am really excited about this, about the state of the art here, Thomas. What we hear today when it comes to AI and music is basically the worst that AI generated music is ever going to sound. We have been seeing just how fast the technology is evolving, just how fast it's growing, the level of dimensionality, the level of complexity that the programs can now add to the music that they are generating. And as a musician myself, I just find that amazing. The science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke had said that technology done right should feel like magic. And what we are seeing in the space of AI and music really does feel like that. It is an extraordinary age that we're living in, where technology, art, and magic seem to be blending seamlessly into each other, and where this will take the medium and where this will take music, I'm really excited about.
Well, never enough magic in music. Thank you very much to both my guests, Bill Dafflon in San Francisco and Anand Roy in Singapore.